Okay, wait 1 second. Okay, we're live. We're gonna do a little intro, guys.
Yeah, so it's on the Instagram. I'm looking at the Carnivore community. It's going live on that page as well.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We're good. We're just waiting for Christopher to get here. He said he'd be here in 5 minutes, so we're just lining up, and I think we're gonna be going live. We're good on Instagram, on Studio.
Yeah, we're live on my Instagram as well.
Yeah, right. Ready to rock and roll. Yeah, ready to rock and roll.
He said 6 minutes, so we're gonna play an intro. I'll get him on here, guys. We will go right now.
What do you say to those who just say this is just more anti-vaccine propaganda and that this will only further deteriorate people's trust in vaccines?
My job as Secretary of HHS is to restore trust in the vaccine program, so that parents know that we're telling them the truth, that we tell them the things that we know, that we tell them the things that we don't know.
I don't get letters from thousands of people who are not political saying that this set of changes is going to damage American healthcare, and particularly these healthcare agencies, for decades to come.
Yeah, maybe you're listening to a selective group of people. Senator, I will put my mailbag against your mailbag any day of the week. Gates has these incestuous relationships with Anthony Fauci that go back 20 years, where he's, paying Fauci, and they have all kinds of really corrupt financial entanglements with each other. He brought Fauci to his house in 2000, and his $189 million house in Seattle, brought him into the den, sat him down and said, I want to have a partnership with you.
This is a challenging time. All the progress we've made is at risk. Budgets are tight, and we all have to show our priorities when there's tough trade-offs to be made.
ASIP is pervaded with conflicts of interest. What we did is we got rid of the conflicts of interest. We depoliticized it and put great scientists on it, while the chronic disease in our children went up to 76%. And you said nothing. You never asked the question, why is this happening? Today, for the first time in 20 years, we've learned that infant mortality has increased in our country. It's not because I came in here. It's because of what happened during the Biden administration that we're going to end.
It turns out that the manufacturers did not do due diligence to ensure these were safe products before they were released onto the American market. And throughout 2021 to 2024, the drug companies essentially ran the pandemic response.
Welcome back to Jake G TV News. The average American can't figure out why they feel like absolute trash.
We go live to a triple boosted science truster who says,
it's just her genetics.
It's just genetic?
Yeah, literally. I never eat red meat. I switched to seed oils only because, health. And here I am.
We're here with a man who's just glowing from head to toe. Sir, what's your secret to your health?
Statins and blood pressure meds. Hold up, I'm about to have a heart attack.
What's your secret?
Just avoid the sun. I have skin cancer. That's why I do this.
Good thing they listen to their doctors. Not much more they can actually do.
True. Let's thank Big Pharma for being the main source of funding of all of our propaganda.
Sponsored by Pfizer, the largest criminal organization to ever do it.
We promised to take the red dye out of the Skittles.
Oh, thank God. Red dye was the real emergency. Let's not talk about the other colors, the fluoride, the chemtrails, and the deadly mRNA altering our DNA. Back to you, Jenny.
Thanks, John. We're here at the local 7-Eleven and want you focusing on what's in the candy. And this way, you won't notice the rising autism and heart disease in children.
Well, autism and child heart disease isn't that big of a deal. It's not like the jab causes turbo cancer or anything. Jessica goes live to find out how to prevent it.
How are we going to prevent cancer?
Do you know how much commission I make off chemo treatment? Next question.
What's the best way to stay healthy in today's world?
The key to getting healthy is lowering your cholesterol. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Look, just trust your fat doctor. He once watched a 1-hour lecture on nutrition.
Good morning, fellow Americans. My name is Dr. Christopher Brandlin. I'm a congressional candidate for the 3rd District of Nevada.
He's not just running for Congress, he's running on me. He's the congressman that lifts and lives it. This is what democracy smells like. Doctor of law now bringing the beef, ripping down lies, bringing relief. From courtroom fire to Capitol flame, truth on a plate, he's changing the game. Type 1 boss, no crash, no fake. Salt age truth on the congressional stake. Running on ribeye, real not fake. Congress needs beef on every plate. Lifting laws like he lifts his weight. Christopher's here now, legislate. Running on ribeye, real not fake. Congress needs beef on every plate. Lifting laws like he lifts his weight. Christopher's here now, legislate. Make meat affordable again. Make truth electable again. Make meat affordable again. Make truth electable again.
Folks, it's very possible that your doctor can't even see his own dick.
Christopher Brandon.
So they say trust the science. Cool, which science? The science that approves OxyContin or the science that calls butter dead?
Running on ribeye, real not fake.
I'm running for Congress to kiss donors' asses. I'm running for Congress to bust their asses. That's correct. When it comes to this issue, I have a very strong anti-establishment stance. There's a lot of reasons why. They told me to wear a mask. I told them to kiss my ass. Folks, if your doctor is fatter than you, find a new doctor. This is the harsh truth. Vegans could actually cause more animal cruelty than carnivores.
Else is sick and fucking tired of seeing all the carnivore shit all over these fucking apps. No one cares if you only eat meat. Every single one of you have to identify by carnivore fucking Connie, carnivore Ken, whatever the fuck your name is, and you add carnivore to the end of it on your fucking bio is fucking weird. Weird. You're literally treating your diet like a fucking religion. A religion. A meat religion. Okay? Like, what in the absolute meat fuck is this shit? Your fucking forts with your eggs and your cheese and your fucking butter and your dates. Who cares? You can't shit. Your fiber intake is fucking 0, and you think you're just fucking trudging through life getting all healthy. Get the fuck out of here. No one cares. Your meat fucking ass, your meat farts, your meat sweats.
We are live on Instagrams, YouTube, and all the boys are here today. We want to say a very big special thanks for Christopher Brandlin joining us. Of course, Michael Fine from Ancestrally Healed. Both people, both guys have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of wisdom. This show couldn't have happened arguably at a stranger time. It's been a tough week for a lot of people. The world is a crazy place right now, and we want to thank you both for joining us. I don't know where Peter is, but I know where Mark is. How you doing, guys?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah. And Michael, we needed to get an American on because we're going to talk some stuff today that may be uncomfortable. So before we get started, guys, I just want to make sure in the chats and all over the place that we keep it clean, and we're going to try and get a little edgy today. And I want to get into some stuff that may be a little uncomfortable, but remember, the whole point of this is to have have discourse. We can all differ with opinions, but the most important thing, and I think it's coming to fruition now in the world, is free speech is under attack, and that is not deniable. And we're going to get we have a congressional candidate here. I'm in Canada, Mark's in Ireland, Michael is from the US. But why do we want Christopher to be a congressman? Because it starts the change. And I appreciate everybody in the comments and showing up today, because it starts here. We have to bring this awareness. We have to stand as a human species together for what we believe in. And for anybody that wants to know Christopher's story, we just put out our interview with him, and he goes into the whole how he got to be where he's at, why he's running for Congress. how he wants to make meat affordable again, his whole issues with the medical system. And I can 100% guarantee you he is one of us, and he's a real guy. And firstly, Christopher, thank you, because coming out to these little podcasts and being exposed takes a lot of balls, and we know you're not afraid, and it's a beautiful thing. I just want to thank a few people before we get going. Byron, Carnivore Beats, for that little pre-show song. He does our music, and we really appreciate him. So go follow him on YouTube. A big thanks to Victoria at Carnivore, at Carnivore Evolutions with Mark, and of course the Carnivore community worldwide. Brian, Jonathan, you're here, and of course Michael and Mark are part of that. But we're all part of it, and you guys have been instrumental in getting this community together. And they are now on YouTube. So make sure you go, because we need to fight the algorithms, guys. This is true. Go to YouTube. Go to the Carnivore community worldwide. Find Michael, Ancestrally Healed, on YouTube. Find Christopher Brandlin. Follow these people. Follow Mark, because we're getting, it's not a coincidence. And we're going to start with that. I think that intro, Christopher, summed up a lot of your feelings, because, you're part of that.
I was very impressed. I didn't know you put that together. I was like,
well, you know what?
Hire you to manage my campaign, man.
Well, that would be fun, eh? A Canadian coming to Congress. Wow. Well, you never know. We might be the 51st state soon. So,
possibly.
But RFK, Mark and I have talked about this quite a bit. RFK getting, it seems like every time he tries to do something, there is an extreme pushback from whatever side you want to call it. But even his congressional hearings and whatever he's doing in his public speaking, some ridiculousness is talking about how he's not on the side of Americans. And Christopher, being part of that movement, how do you feel about that?
No, I think we need a lot more people to speak out, and he's going to continue to get pushback, because the pharmaceutical companies have so much power over Congress right now. As I've told in the previous videos, 2/3 of Congress receives funding from Big Pharma. This is their source. And this is why I don't believe in getting a lot of money from some major corporations. Everybody's like, hey, suck up to car dealerships. They're gonna help fund your campaign. I'm like, no, because the moment I start sucking up to these big corporations, that is when they have a little bit of power and influence over your policies. And instead of helping the American people, you're actually just helping them directly. So it's completely counterintuitive. And it's not, even though it's the majority of the Democrats are receiving all the funding, there's still a good portion of Republicans that are receiving funding too. And I'm about to expose, I actually did a separate video where I expose all of the people in Congress, the top 10 people receiving funding, even though most of them are Democrats. Expose all the Republicans too, because I call them rhinos. But yeah, it's the fact that they're not looking out for the people. When you go into Congress, you take an oath to be a public servant for the people, not for yourself or not for the people that are paying you on your back. And what RFK is doing, he's exposing people, especially like Senator Warren and Bernie Sanders. They're getting the most funds from pharmaceutical companies over the years. And the moment he speaks out and exposes this, they go ape shit. And this is why we need more people to do this on a regular basis.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, and they're denying it as well. Every single one of them.
Oh, yeah. They're just like I don't trust most of the attorneys. I don't trust politicians. But I don't plan on making a lot of friends when I go into Congress. My focus is on the people.
Congratulations on the PhD, by the way, Christopher.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm still called Dr. Dick by a couple of people, but it's all right. You know what? They just can't call me Dick anymore. They got to call me Dr. Dick. Then it'll be permitted.
Or maybe it's Doctor. I could see my dick.
Yeah.
And Michael, first of all, this guy's so classy. He drinks his meat stock with a wine glass. Michael Fine, he's in the house.
Oh, that's awesome.
Michael, being an American not in Christopher's area, how are you feeling about this?
It's a really tough situation because they've done such a good job over the last 10 years being able to tell so many lies, that so many people are so brainwashed by it, that even now, like you look at RFK bringing out real vaccine data, unless you are somebody that, is speaking from that channel that they're recognizing, whether it be CNN, MSNBC, whatever it may be, they don't believe it. And it's really frustrating because you could tell someone at this point that the sky's blue, but if it's coming from someone that they consider MAGA or Make America Healthy Again, they're going to tell you the sky's purple just because they don't want to agree with you. So when you start looking at what's going on political wise, it's just a complete, as I like to say, it's the world's going to hell in a hay basket, because at the end of the day, nobody trusts the real information anymore because it doesn't fit their emotional profile. So I'm so happy, Christopher, that you're willing to take this on. And like you said, if you go to Congress, if you're working for the government and everybody likes you, that means you're not doing your job, because you're not rattling enough feathers and you're not paying enough close enough attention to what the people you're actually representing wants and how you're supposed to be able to deliver for your people. And, big pharma is a huge issue, but we also have to look at who is also invested in big pharma. It's BlackRock, it's Vanguard, it's all these massive corporations that aren't only just involved here, but they're involved all over the world. So what we need to do is, at least in America, we need to show the principle and start the first step of how we could take back America and be able to show how we can make America truly healthy again. Because, they've been showing like real facts just blatantly. You look at Bill Gates in 2010 in a TED Talk. He literally said, and by quote, speaking about how to reduce carbon emissions, Gates says, the world today has 6.8 billion people. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
He's going to depopulate, and that's even Kamala Harris kind of like flip that out too. Like, we can reduce the population. A lot of people need to wake up and like read between the lines. What's their incentive?
And they're telling you.
It's been this is on a full open source interview where Bill Gates admitted it, and all these shills, the Klaus Schwabs and stuff. Mark, before we're going to talk about that, but Mark, what's you've been feeling a lot of backlash with your content, with your stuff from Ireland. How do you feel about that, about what's going on, especially when people are getting silenced like yourself?
Well, that's the biggest frustration I have. What I do on social media is when I'm always getting the pushback, or I'm getting strikes, or I'm getting warned, or I'm getting these warnings that I'm going to be removed from social media because all I'm coming up with is just something different. That's where I see an awful lot of over here. And this is why I love having these conversations with you guys, because if I didn't have these conversations with you guys, I'd go mad. I'd go absolutely crazy, because there's nobody over here talking about this. Nobody. Everybody's just going off the wagon, and they're going off what everybody else says, and it's extremely frustrating. I was only in the change rooms the other day, and everybody was telling me that the guy deserved it. Everybody was saying it. Everybody,
and this is why
it's crazy.
It's becoming sinister. It's becoming evil when you promote that.
Yeah,
now you're seeing like it's not just a political debate now. Now it's actually just good versus evil. And that's
yeah. And when you try, I know I didn't get involved in this conversation, because if I did, what would have happened? There would have been a big argument. Probably would have been a fight after, and I was like, listen, I'm not getting involved in this shit. So it's very very frustrating. There's a lot of hate in the world, and you're not allowed to have your opinion. There's only one opinion, and that's it. And it's extremely frustrating.
It seems like it's a narrative that they construct, and it's clear now. Christopher, trying to get into that whole fray. Whether you want to call it the elites, the deep state, the uniparty, whatever it is, how do you feel about navigating through that stuff? Because from what I've found out with you, knowing you, and you're a real person, probably getting into a lot of stuff that is obvious. There's a certain narrative that they want to.
Yeah, and I'm going to start getting bashed, and they're probably going to start making some fake AI videos of me and try to, that's one thing about AI. Like, man, those videos they're funny, but man, that looks really real. I wonder if they're going to have me like sleeping with Pelosi or something. I don't know. They're probably make something. Like they're probably going to make it the worst. It's going to be like her, Hillary Clinton, and like Senator Warren, like all like it's going to be probably I don't know. But anyways, I know that I'm going to get a little pushback, but as you kind of can tell, I am an adrenaline junkie. I'm fearless. I'm not really afraid to take a shot. I'm not afraid. If I die, stand up for what I believe is right and what I know is right, I'd be happy to die for this country. And a lot of people need to have that in their mind, is that you need to put some virtues in front. You need to put what's going to be good for the rest. And I would always prefer to die on my feet than live on my knees.
Yeah,
Well
100%.
said.
Absolutely.
Well said.
100%.
Yeah.
Because and you know, unfortunately, the world has been pushed to that place where, you know, I don't know how you guys feel. All of us have a social media presence. I was questioning it. I was like, oh, okay, where it's like, what am I doing here? Why is it? And it's sad that we have to, you know, reflect and come to grips with reality sometimes. But I mean, I kind of came to the same conclusion as Christopher. Like, it's time to just get louder. It's time to just speak out.
Yeah.
It's not about who's saying it. It's what's being said. And I mean, if you can use your discernment and come from a place of love and compassion and you know, for your fellow man, for your fellow neighbor, and just let's have these conversations. So
Yeah,
I want to
go ahead, Tony. No, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to direct it to the chats. If anybody has a question for Christopher, this is the time, man. He's exposed. He's here. He's ready to. He's not afraid. I mean, the guy rides bulls, man. That was cool too. And it's one of those things that I love watching your stuff, and it's pretty inspiring to know that hopefully from Mark's country to my country to your guys to the States, our leaders are listening, because I don't know how you guys feel about this. I am so far removed from politics as far as anybody that I see on my TV or on the news or whatever. It just, they're robots. I don't trust a thing they say. And to bring life and humanity like Christopher's doing it into it is pretty powerful, Mark.
But you see, the thing is, this is why I love watching the American news, is because there is somebody over there that is going against the narrative. I don't have this in this country. I have to listen to just one voice pretty much. Our Minister for Health over here is an absolute joke. Brian is probably watching at the moment, and he'll tell you, listen, we've had a hospital in the works now for over 10 years. I told you about this last time on our podcast. Honestly, it's an absolute joke. Our waiting list is unbelievable. There's so many people over here that are struggling. Every second person you see over here, you can clearly see they're in a really, really bad way. I was only talking to a guy there the other day. He's in his 30s. He's going around in a wheelchair. He's on a 5-year waiting list to be looked after. It's just, honestly, it's just insane. So this is why I think the Irish people, we need to be keeping an eye on this. We need to be keeping an eye on what's happening across the pond, because we rely on you guys. If there's no change on your part of the world, then it's not going to happen over here. That's a fact.
And I'm going to speak to that effect too, because, you know, a lot of people will recognize that what's going on around the world, it does influence the other countries from making their decisions. Yeah. They're going to see what is going on in the United States or Canada or, you know, or Ireland, and see how is that changing the people? Is it kind of improving the overall healthcare? Is it improving the overall economy? Should we kind of take notes? Should we take suggestions? Let's see if it's going to be reactive. And if you see something making a strong movement and powerful mission, the United States, especially with the recent passing of, you know, assassination of Charlie Kirk, people are recognizing that they're basically motivating the fact that we should speak on true values, you know, family, God, you know, religion and health is something you should focus on, and you have the right to speak on that too. And now you're going to see other countries following, just like UK had the biggest march ever of like 1 million people marching for Charlie Kirk. This shows you that something happened in one country will influence what's going on in the other country. And I think I got a question right here too.
Well said. Christopher, do you have some plans? This is from Victoria. Do you have some plans for either introducing or promoting existing nutritional legislation in the House? If so, what are your goals?
Oh yeah, it's simple. Flip the food pyramid upside down.
Yes.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you know, I don't believe, you know, like I said in my podcast with Dr. Berry and Dr. Kills and Dr. Baker and Dr. Shafee, I'm not expecting everybody to be complete carnivore, even though I do believe it is one of the best, because it is so pure in what our ancestors have been eating for 2.5 million years. This is what proven to be the survival food to keep us, you know, moving on these generations. But, you know, I would like people to just focus on eating just real food. When you see the Academy of Nutrition of Dietetics, the A&D, which I'm part of since I'm a dietetic technician, is when they're promoting plant lab-grown meat, fake meat, that's when you know it's a problem. This is where you got to step in, and I'm not going to permit any school or any health institution, any health facility from giving any fake lab-grown or fake, you know, plant-based meat crap burgers to their patients, they're going to be ruining their patients. They're going to be malnourishing, and all of a sudden, it's going to probably double their diabetes and cardiovascular disease. They need to eat real food. It doesn't have to be all meat, but meat should be the main source of nourishment, especially if you go through some kind of traumatic injury at the hospital, because meat is the main thing that you need to heal. And when you're hospitalized, if it's a burn victim or if a freak accident, they need meat on their damn plate.
And isn't that the message? And isn't that the message, Christopher? Like that's what we're trying to do. It's like we're trying to give people the information so you can make up your own minds. It's like, okay, listen, this meat that you're eating at the moment, you need to understand where this comes from. You need to understand what these ingredients are in this food.
Yeah.
And then we can explain to you, okay, we should be eating this way because of X, Y, and Z. It's about just getting that information out to people and let people make up their own minds.
Go ahead.
Something as simple as, if you do want to buy lab-grown meat or Impossible Burgers, whatever the hell it is, there should be warning labels of what carcinogens are known in that and what that could potentially do to your body, just like if you're going to go buy a pack of cigarettes. At the end of the day, the consumer needs to be educated. And I think the government needs to start incentivizing hospitals to be able to put real food. I'd start backing and funding the real issues that will actually be able to help our country, the world. I mean, how much money are we subsidizing for soy farmers, sugarcane farmers, wheat farmers? Why aren't we subsidizing for regenerative farming?
I did a separate video on the fact that corn is the most popular crop right now, and it's so heavily industrialized. And by the way, thank you, Lisa, for the comment. I saw that too. I think one of the biggest concerns right now is not just the healthcare, but what's going on with our children. I'm learning this too, is because I actually, part of my dietetic rotations, you did clinical rotations in the hospitals, but I also did rotations with schools, with some of the charter schools in like downtown Los Angeles. And if you see the shit they're feeding to these kids, you'll recognize why our kids are so effed up, fat, and sick nowadays. It's basically on these major government programs that are saying, we're trying to try to heal. We're actually making kids healthier. No, you're making them fatter and sicker and weaker. Yeah. This is why a lot of kids don't even have testosterone nowadays. This is why they're growing bitch tits and getting sex changes. Who knows?
I tagged you yourself and Tony in today. We lost a 13-year-old today, and everybody's just saying like, it's just because this guy had probably a bad upcoming, or he had a trauma in his life. Absolute bullshit. If you go against this and you say that, okay, I firmly believe this is the reason why this happens, people will look at you and say you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. But why can't we not question this? Why are we not allowed to ask these questions? Because I can guarantee you that 13-year-old was eating very, very poorly. And I can guarantee you also, if you ask the family, they would say a little bit is okay. Eating in moderation is fine. But what's the issues right here?
And this is why I think
this is the problem. This is the problem right here.
Yeah. And this is why I do believe that a lot of parents are committing their own child abuse without even knowing it. If you force your kids to wear a mask 24/7, you force your kids to get vaccinated, if you force your kids to go to these drag shows, if you force your kids to eat a bunch of shit food, you are committing child abuse, and people need to recognize that.
And you know what's funny? Michael and I just talked about this. To explain your popsicle theory, buddy. That was really good. We talked a little bit before the show.
So one of the things I do with my kids is I always try and give them an opportunity to kind of feel like they're with everybody else to a degree, but in a healthy manner. So like, for example, we had a birthday party today, and one of the things that we do is we make homemade popsicles where we water them down with, whether it be orange juice, pineapple juice, whatever it may be. So they're getting like a taste of childhood without getting all the crap that goes along with it. So they feel like they're normal. And we go to this birthday party and we say, okay, well, you have a choice. You're asking for a popsicle now. You could have one later. But if we go to this birthday party and you choose to, eat the cake or whatever it may be, just know that it's going to make your tummy not feel good. You're going to feel sick, and we're going to have to help you feel better. And we're not going to give you a popsicle later. And sure enough, we went to the birthday party and he decided to make the choice to eat the cake. And we come home, he goes, my stomach's hurting, but can I have a popsicle? And we go, no, Jackson, like the rest of the day, we really need to make sure that we're taking the right procedures to give your body the nutrition it needs so you can recover from this. And hopefully next time you're going to make the smarter choice knowing what you're eating. And the other day, I mean, he even said, when I go to school and they give me popsicles, I don't want their popsicles because they don't make me feel good. I want mommy's popsicles because they're healthy. And when you start giving your children the tools, instead of just saying, no, you can't have this, you're going to be forced with a rebellion, and you can't bring them back from that because they just want to do what they want to do because it's not what you're telling them to do. But if you really educate them and start like teaching them about ingredients, like I can't tell you how many times in Whole Foods they're like, "Daddy, what's that?" And I go, "What do you think that is?" He goes, "Oh, that's poison." And I go, "You're right. You could tell because of all the bright colors on the wrappers. The brighter the wrappers, the more deadly you know it is because they're just trying to trick you and get your attention." And I mean, he's 4 years old. So think about where he's going to be when he's 12. And going off of what you were just saying, Christopher, like I think it just came out yesterday that for the first time in the world, there are more obese kids than underweight kids. And, you know, you go a step further with what you were saying, why all these kids are having these issues. Well, if you're not eating the right foods and you're not eating enough fats and you're hormonally not where you're supposed to be, you're not optimal. It's the same thing that's happening to these kids that are going on puberty blockers. It's blocking their hormones. They're having all these issues. Depression rises. All these outcomes are coming along with it. So whether you're taking a medication or you're not giving your body the nutrition it truly needs, I mean, it's going to have the same effect. You're going to have depression. You're going to have anxiety. You know, your brain isn't going to function well. And when you're chemically not right, you start making disastrous decisions. And I mean, we see it consistently. I mean, I don't want to go too much into it because this is a whole nother topic, but since 2020, how many of our school shootings is trans related? Somebody that's living in this other world, you know, and it's just like, and I'm not happy, but in a way I'm kind of glad this movement started because you're starting to now see the people who are chemically imbalanced and what that's coming from. So like there's always two sides to this coin. There's always an opportunity to turn something into a positive. And I hope that the world could look at the nutrition issues, the hormonal issues, all these other factors that come along with it. And maybe now we could actually start being responsible parents and pay attention because all this could be avoided. We just have to pay attention to our kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and we need to put the funds in this. I've been saying this for years. We need to put the funds into the schools, and it's like you said, Michael. It's all about education. So it's about educating our kids at a very, very young age, instead of putting them into these creches. Because when you think about it, the average parents will put their child in a creche for the whole day. The whole day they'll go off to work and they won't come back. And these kids have been fed nearly 3 or 4 times in that creche, and they're all fed like poor quality food. I know what happens over here. The creches over here.
You can blame
are
the schools
disgrace.
too. You can blame the schools for giving that shit too.
Yeah. And it's very, very sad to say.
And if people don't understand where Christopher's side is coming from, I want you to go look at our interview with him. It came out yesterday. His experience with the medical system, we're gonna, you know, he knows what's up here with how they've messed up this stuff. And then we'll talk about that. We like we asked in the interview, how many conversations did you have in a hospital with a doctor about nutrition and diet? None. So if that's not happening in the place where we're supposed to be getting healed, where do you think? How is it happening in schools? How is it happening with our government? Like there's a clear disconnect, and that's where this space always seems to. It seems to be like we're all sort of like these weird characters that are screaming out, and it's not. It's just about the divine right for humans to be able to nourish themselves with the proper education and awareness. And the fight is on because I think we've all felt these things like pop up. I mean, a lot of people in the chats are talking about that. Is, you know, every experience I've ever had with a kid when I feed them meat, they love it. I did when I was a kid. I don't know about you guys, but my mom feels bad now because she was trying to make me eat vegetables. I hated vegetables. All I wanted was meat and potatoes. Go figure. Maybe the potatoes were a little energy, but now it's clear that they gravitate. My little nephew always wanted my steak, and his parents were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, he wants your food." And it's like, well, maybe we should look at that. Kids know.
And this is where you're acknowledging. Remember, and as you know, animal-based fat is so important for your hormonal and your cognitive function. And what's having a big issue right now is you're seeing some kids swing so unstable and possibly linked to these shootings too. Is we've been on this. The government's been promoting this low-fat craze since the 1970s. And immediately when they started reducing animal-based fat too, just fat in general, but just animal-based fat, and reducing red meat intake, What they told the people to do actually was the opposite. Actually, our cardiovascular disease nearly tripled ever since then. And now we're seeing so many people unstable. And now we're seeing testosterone levels plummet to the lowest level. And this is why we have so many beta males, which I call LBS, which stands for little bitch syndrome. And I actually can probably trademark that too. I just realized that I can use the term bitch in a trademark. It's kind of cool. But anyways,
put that on a t-shirt. I'd buy it.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah. And Dr. Ken Berry made like the best like example or kind of description of this. You know, the agricultural revolution was not even a revolution. It was an agricultural de-evolution. We're going down in time, and this is exactly it's basically they were making us worse over time, and we need to basically change this to make us going where we were going in the right direction.
And speaking of ancestrally healed, like these were all fallback foods to feed starving people. This was not optimal nutrition. And if we look at it ancestrally, it was a big bait and switch. It's clear. I mean, obviously all of us are awake, and you see the history of food matters. And Christopher, you touched on that. If people get connected with their food, get connected to where it came from, how it got here, it can all start. It just starts to open up your eyes. I mean, I came into this space when I realized it was an aha moment about how the hell were we so wrong about nutrition? It's all there, but yet the pushback from the powers that be are so ferocious with the big food and big ag. It's mind-blowing how much people don't realize how much indoctrination from the agricultural revolution, in my opinion.
Well, they don't realize that if they didn't switch people off of meat, because I think it was in the 50s. I mean, people were eating red meat 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week. And if that was the case and things would have continued that way, who would have had all the money? It would be the farmers raising the cattle. How many different products can you create from red meat? But when you switched everybody off of red meat, and now suddenly you're able to create this hyper-processed food, you're getting people to be able to consume it. Because they're absolutely right. If you eat red meat and you eat what we're supposed to eat, and then you start including all that other shit, you're 100% going to put yourself in a situation to get into a serious heart disease situation. Because
that's what comes down.
Mixing oil with water.
That's what comes
why
down.
The studies are flawed, exactly, because they didn't focus on people just eating meat. They focused on people eating all this shit with a little bit of meat in it. That's how they came to the conclusion.
Absolutely, 100%. And at the end of the day, if you're eating red meats and you're eating the way we should be eating, you're losing a customer, and this is what's going to piss these people off.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you look at any person that is over the age of 60 years old that has prostate issues, ask them how much oatmeal, how much cereal they've been consuming every morning for the last how many years. Like the reality is that all of our problems stem from what we eat. It all starts from our mouth. I mean, I had autoimmune issues, I had gut issues, I had anxiety, depression, insomnia. I had all these issues, and I did the one thing that my doctor told me would kill me 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. And I switched to just eating meat, and it's amazing. Our bodies have been evolving for over 2 million years. It wants to survive. If you've ever, my grandmother passed of lung cancer. I was there for when her spirit basically gave up and her body didn't. Your body wants to go. And the moment you're able to give it the resources that it wants to have, it will fix itself, because that's what we want to do. We want to live for as long as we possibly can to procreate. And if you're giving your body the nutrients that it's supposed to have, and your body's like, oh, I'm not going to take advantage of this, life would not exist. I mean, our bodies are the most insane machines that this world has created, and we just have to eat it. We have to stop fighting it, and we have to get away from this food nonsense. Like, one of the things that blows my mind, that insurance companies do not include in a regular annual a fasting insulin test. They will not allow that to be included. So I get in conversations with, and there's some doctors that are waking up that are more holistic minded, and some that are just so close minded. And I'll say, well, how can you not do a fasting insulin test if you're trying to measure diabetes, all these other insulin resistance issues? It's like, if you're not looking at insulin, how can you even know the issues? Oh, well, if the numbers are fine. I'm like, okay, so let's go through a situation. Let's say the fasting glucose is 95. Let's say the triglycerides are 105. The cholesterol is wherever the hell you want it to be. And you're like, oh, let's say the cholesterol is 240, whatever. Oh, it's a little high, but it's okay. I go, okay. Now let's say we did a fasting insulin test and his fasting insulin is 17. Is there a problem? Well, yeah, there's a problem. And when you start adding in that extra variable, it makes so much sense. But the reality is the insurance companies don't want to test for that and give them the availability to be able to help their clients. So finally, a doctor looks at their client and says, oh, crap, look at where your issues are. You're basically pre-diabetic. You know what they say? They say, we're going to watch it for the next year. Well, if they don't make a lifestyle, if they don't make a lifestyle change, if they don't make a dietary change, and you're just trying to throw pills at them, what's going to happen? I mean, they're going to get sicker. They're going to need more pills. And before you know it, they're stuck in the same rut that I was in. I was getting an injection 4 times a year that cost $15,000. You think that insurance company's happy I'm not getting that injectable anymore? Absolutely not. No. So the system wants people to be sick. And it kind of goes into what's going on now with like the shooting of Charlie Kirk. So many people are so sick that they think it is okay for somebody just to die. And I think that all comes from the food, the chemical imbalance, and then all the medications that these people are on that's also messing up their psyche even further. I mean, what was it? If you take an antibiotic, you have an 80% chance of having a depressive episode within the next 8 months in a year. And that's just an antidepressant. Imagine if you're on a benzo. Imagine if you're on a real antidepressant instead of an antibiotic. I mean, think about what those numbers really turn into. And,
one pharmaceutical always leads to another one.
Yeah, I mean, our doctors are not doctors; they're drug dealers. That's what they've turned into.
And that's what I used multiple times, and I think even David actually posted in the comments too. Is that the moment your doctor starts pulling out a prescription pad before you even kind of tell them all of your problems, it's going the wrong direction. And if you go to a doctor and you tell him you have problems, and he doesn't ask you about your lifestyle, he doesn't ask you about your diet, he automatically prescribes something. You do not have a doctor, you have a drug dealer. And the majority of doctors in today's conventional medicine are all drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And a lot of things, I want to get into this too, because you touched on a few points, Michael, that were like pretty powerful. But the chemical pesticide herbicide aspect of disrupting neurotransmitters. When you've got grain brain and you're eating monocrop agriculture as your staple 6 to 11 servings, 40% of your meals, what those possible, like the glyphosate alone. I mean, my research into glyphosate, it's made from glycine. They know this. That glycine is an important cofactor in your neurotransmission, in your dopaminergic pathways, not to mention all the other amino acids that it can possibly block.
It disrupts glutathione production.
Exactly. So when your body's not able to heal and it's getting disrupted, and what do you think happens psychologically? And I said that we're going to talk about some uncomfortable truths today. And that I think that's probably one of the most insidious underlying health issues is there's the big seed companies. So you think your corn, wheat, and soy are just there for your health? Come on, man. They own the seeds. They own the land.
And these big companies receive direct and indirect funding from big pharma, and then you can kind of link it together. They want you to remain sick, and this is why I'm glad that you fellows did the same thing that I did, is you did your own research to look into it, because what most institutions do not want you to do, and this is why I believe most schools or most institutions that are teaching our kids, they are not teaching the kids to think independently. They have their own political agenda behind it, and this is why we call it indoctrination. They're basically forming their own, theories and basically creating it and pushing us on their kids. But this is why I actually prefer to get my PhD in public policy and public health, is because I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a research doctor. I actually get my head out of my ass and look into it. Okay.
I love it.
No, now, the reality is, if you're a doctor and you're doing something over and over and over again, and you're not trying to figure out a different way to treat, you're not being a doctor.
No.
You've taken away what the point. And I mean, COVID, thank God for that, because that was one of the biggest things that opened my eyes. I mean, how many patients were just thrown on a on a ventilator and basically died of pneumonia over and over and over and over again? They say, we need more of these machines. It's like, no. It's not working.
And the thing is, Michael, they're still in this. They're still in the job.
Yeah.
Nobody was held accountable. No
one, because it's all about the political agenda. I mean, thank God, I was immunocompromised. I mean, my son was just born. My son was about to be born. I called the hospital and I said to them, listen, I could be one of the first people to jump in line for this shot. I know with chickenpox, all these vaccines, if I get the shot, I'm not going to get sick, right? And the thought of my wife going in to give birth to my son without me being there, I said, so if I get this shot, will I be there? And they had to get the head nurse in the maternity ward. And they said, you know what? No one's asked me that question, but what I could say to you is you have more of a likelihood to do it. So I was the first one to jump in line because I needed to be there for my son. And I made that mistake. And I actually, being immunocompromised, now having a baby and seeing all these people dying of all these different issues, I thought, I need to keep protecting myself. So I ended up getting 3 jabs, and then I ended up getting sick, and my oxygen dropped down to like 90%. Like I got it really, really bad, and that was like, holy shit! My entire life I was told, you get this vaccine, you're going to be good. You're not going to get sick. All these, but here I am, like the science. Oh, it's 99% effective. Oh, it's 92% effective. Oh, it's 88% effective. Oh, it's 62%. It gets to a point, and that's when it was like, if that wouldn't have happened, and it's a shame that I did what I did, but it woke me up, and it allowed me to be able to, when I got to the point of, well, I can get you off your medication, you just have to eat meat, and it was an Eastern doctor, my acupuncturist, like. I would never have been able to take that leap because I would have been like every other American out there. Oh, you're going to tell me I'm going to eat something that's going to kill me? And then my doctor told me, you're 31 years old, Michael. You just had a son. You're about to have a daughter. Like, I don't want you to kill yourself. And that brought me down this entire rabbit hole to make sure that I am not going to kill myself because I need to be here for my family for as long as possible.
100%, 100%.
And it's stories like this, stories like what you're doing, Christopher, Mark. I mean, we're all in similar situations where we've gotten to the same path. And we're helping educate people. And unfortunately, so many people are still living in the matrix. But there's enough people that are, kind of awake and starting to hear things. And when they hear it enough times, it's starting to break through all those lies that they've heard. And I could tell you, me personally, I've helped over 45 people change their lives from something that they thought was familial predisposition. They were going to be stuck like this for the rest of their lives. And I mean, we just have to keep fighting.
But I'm the same, Michael. I deal with an awful lot of women, and I've worked with over, I don't know, maybe over 250 women in 4 years. Now, 60 of those women were told your chances of having a baby is never going to happen. Never going to happen. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a PhD, but I know what the human body should be thriving on, and that should be fat. Now, I've took these people on, and I said, listen, let's just go down this route. I'm not saying it's going to work. But I just have a gut feeling here. Just trust me on this. Let's just see what happens, guys. Trust me. When these people come on, within 6 months, I'm getting messages off these people saying to me, "Mark, I'm pregnant. It's a miracle. How do you know this shit?" And I'm like,
I'm going to be meeting with Dr. Kiltz today, actually.
You know what I mean? And funny enough, Christopher, this is how I learned all this.
Yeah.
I studied Dr. Kiltz like literally for a year nonstop. At the very, very beginning, when I turned carnivore, I was like, before I actually start coaching this, I need to know exactly what I'm talking about. So I researched this for literally 1 year. I was looking up testimonials. I was researching Ken Berry, Dr. Kiltz. The list goes on. Sean Baker. I studied this every day. I must have done about 6 or 8 hours of research a day. Because I knew, right, if I'm going into this and I'm coming out with these mad statements, I need to be in a position where I can back this shit up. And now I'm in a position now where, as I said, I have 60 women behind me, and every one of them were told your chances of having a baby was never going to happen, and we've proved the system wrong.
I'll give my thank you to Lisa again. But hey, also
right.
one thing I want to mention about that, Michael, too, is one thing because I started going to Healing Humanity kind of events. I kind of became their sponsor. So that's what Dr. Kiltz is also part of. It's run by Carrie Mann and Adam Lacey. And I've been about like 7 or 8 different events. But I love when Dr. Kiltz speaks because he's like the only fertility doctor. And the reason why he's really well off and so popular is because he's proven that by just changing the patient's diet, they were able to have beautiful children. And even when like they said, well, you got this that runs in your family, you shouldn't have a child because they're more likely to be mentally retarded or something like that. He's like, no, fix their diet and you're going to produce a beautiful child. And he is very, pro-life. And this is why I do admire that is that, you can improve the ability to have children if you improve your life first. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to focus on.
And we also did an episode with Tony about endometriosis, and we've had Aaliyah on, we've had Tony's partner on, and this is another big issue in my country. Endometriosis. I see this all over social media at the moment. Young teenagers are in severe pain, like severe period pain. And when you hear what the parents are talking about, they're saying like my daughter's in pain. I can't watch my daughter going through this. And they're saying at the end of it, I have to wait 2 years. I have to wait 2 years to get a diagnosis to get this looked after. And you know fully
10 years.
Yeah, but you know at the end of that, Tony, when it gets to that stage, they're going to be brought into this office
scared.
They're gonna get the surgery done. They're gonna be scared. They're gonna be on medication, and they're gonna walk out of that doctor's office with no information whatsoever, none. And it's gonna cost the average person about 15 grand, 20 grand. It's just criminal. It is. It's just unbelievable.
Tying that into the system, Christopher, we need to ask you about this because we know how you feel about vaccines.
Oh
now,
yeah, completely. I was known as the anti-vax attorney before I was known as the carnivore attorney. So yeah, because everybody was bashing me since 2020. But I've actually been helping out the carnivore committee since like 2018, right when I made the change. That's why I actually was referenced by Dr. Sophia Clemens from Budapest, Hungary, I stayed with, and she's like, he's our carnivore lawyer because he's helping us out because I actually was doing their trademarks actually.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of stuff in the politics about vaccines, and I mean it's so crazy how all these topics tie back, blend into root cause, meat, nutrition. I mean, whether you are a full carnivore or not, it's not undeniable. Meat is the most nutrient dense food sources available, and the vaccine stuff, like how right now in like before the whole Charlie Kirk tragedy, it's shit's coming out in Congress in these tribunals.
And more, and I am actually going to expose it too because that's one of the folks, and actually that's why Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Berry like me is because we're trying to do some clinical studies to prove the benefits of animal-based like ketogenic nutrition. I can research into that, and I can actually help publish the studies. That's my ability too.
Beautiful.
But also, I have done an extensive amount of research into vaccines, going back from, I already told you, from the original kind of podcast, it was like 250 years ago, going back from 1776, like, from the original smallpox inoculation, but it was a different type of vaccine. Basically, it's an inoculation from the own pus of someone that was actually infected with smallpox. But now you got soy boobs, bitch tits, Billy Gates, who is the main promoter of this shit that they're injecting in people with who knows what the hell is in it until like you can't even name all the products, and it's got numerous kind of heavy metals.
And if you saw in the pre-show, that's why I wanted to put that clip in there. RFK is exposing him, and he's playing this fucking virtue signal bullshit about, well, if we're not able to vaccinate all these children, if we're not able to do this for the world, you're all going to suffer. You're all going to be, and it's unbelievable how this guy, who is not a doctor, nothing to do with science, is this, pseudo philanthropist. I have a better word for it, but is coming out with a bleeding heart and trying to get people on board with this bullshit. And it's clear that they're whether the vaccine is good or not good. What I love about him is saying the people need to know the whole truth.
Yeah, expose everything that you put into these vaccines and what the hell. And there's no efficacy too. That was a huge discussion I had with my clinical trials for my dissertation study, because my dissertation study is on the vaccine mandates. Is that like a lot of the healthcare administrators that I personally interviewed for the study, and it's documented that a lot of them admitted there was no efficacy in these vaccines to prove that they actually work. Humans were the first guinea pigs, and a lot of them jumped straight to the plate, and now a lot of them passed away or had blood clots or Bell's palsy, liver failure, cardiovascular disease, strokes, everything. And that's why I'm glad that Michael, I'm glad you survived. I avoided it, but I have a lot of colleagues that, I actually lost some colleagues from it. And I had some colleagues that are still suffering from like severe blood clots. I told them, like, you got to go on that, like, was it Dr. Peter McCullough has a protocol of like, proteolytic enzymes, basically to break down all these kind of like spike proteins in your body to kind of get them out of your system, right? There is a protocol to get a lot of the the spike proteins out of your body. I think a lot of people should look into that if you got vaccinated.
Yeah, and I have a theory with all of that. It seems like the more genetically sound you were, and the more genetically stronger you were, the more you were affected by that vaccine. You look at athletes. I mean, they are literally the most genetically sound beasts on this planet. And how many of them just drop dead of heart attacks these days?
Oh, a number of them. And mainstream media try to hide this shit too.
Yeah. But then you look at somebody like me, autoimmune issues, gut issues, all these issues. I didn't have those same type of side effects because I was not as genetically strong as them. It's like they're trying to weaken the population is kind of how it seems, which goes right back to that quote I gave from Bill Gates. Yeah. How can we reduce the population? By improving healthcare and vaccines. That makes no sense. How about an oxymoron?
Yeah.
How do you feel, Christopher, about that? Like, I mean, I like just I'm sort of.
If no one's going to push to incriminate anybody that was pushing or promoting the vaccines or had some kind of ties or getting these funds from Pfizer and Moderna, I'm going to be personally moving to basically, indict them, convict them, and do everything they can possible to investigate and give them, I call that a crime against humanity. They should serve they deserve this most severe punishment. A lot of people call me a criminal for saying that. I'm like, oh, they're trying to help people. No, you're not trying to help people. You're an accomplice to murder.
And at the end, they give them all the facts, and if they decide they want to take the vaccine or they want to smoke that pack of cigarettes, knowing all the issues that come along with it, let that be their choice, but don't force it on everybody, because that's where I have the biggest issue. Informed consent is the way to go, and I feel like if everyone really knew the truth, I feel like you would see how many of these shots would not be taken. And the problem is companies like Pfizer, Moderna, I mean, they wouldn't exist because they wouldn't be making the money that they're making anymore. I mean. And I bet you the first thing what would happen if they were hurting is America would give them some type of a bailout, like the airplane companies back in 2020, to say, no, we need to keep you alive because you do all these benefits. But the reality is, how many of their medications truly work? How many people are healed? Nobody.
Never.
Yeah.
Not one
so
cure.
I'm going to respond to this comment right here.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
it is possible to legislate, but let's just say you guys need more of a voice at the congressional hearings to make any actual changes. Okay, there's 435 House of Representatives. So, it's going to be starting with one person making the voice, making the concerns, getting the attraction, basically not only kind of just, I want to say educating my peers. I don't want to say manipulating my peers because I'm not going to persuade them. I want to say, look, I'm going to fully inform you of these facts and why people should have the right to purchase the copies of the paper studies, like at no additional fee or a small fee, based on clinical research. Let's see what exactly done, because they're covering a lot of the ability to obtain the research for the American consumer or, the American public. So this is what they should be able to do. But that's why, even though I hate politics, and hey, let's stick with natural health, health and diet, fuck politics. I'm like, unfortunately, politics affects your everyday life and your ability to live and your ability to raise your own children. And that people need to recognize that.
Well, and
if you don't look at politics, you're cognitive dissonant. You're just taking information, you're not processing it.
Well, it's come to a point now where this is how it has to start. Like the true politician in a democracy is by the people for the people, and that's something that gets a little lost. And I mean, I grew up knowing like all the politicians are liars and all that. We all said that for our whole lives, all of us, and now all of a sudden we're putting our blind trust into a political issue that's a health issue, and the doctors are bought and paid for. The politicians, do they really know about this stuff? It's so refreshing to hear Christopher's take on it from where he's come from, and that's the thing that makes me feel confident and back him, because he's real. He's had real life adversity with these systems, and he's calling it out for what they are. And it's time we have to start looking at our cliches. We have to, and this is where it all starts. And the science side of it, Christopher, I want to point out too that your PhD is in policy, health policy, correct?
Yes, because we cross over. Public administration crosses over with public health and for our residencies in our program. So so you actually look at how the policy is going to be actually indirectly affecting the health, and specifically one of the biggest focuses actually recently was mental health, and now we're seeing that becoming a huge issue today with all the shootings. Yeah,
it's quite crazy, man. And that getting back to sort of the how the pharmaceutical or any big science is holding back these studies. For now, something came out about the CDC was holding back information, and RFK Jr. got ridiculed by one side of it. How are you? Do you have?
You need someone backing him up at these congressional hearings, and right now we don't have many, because even I'll be honest, even my own political party, the Republicans, not many are speaking out when it comes to these controversial issues that lead to actual health. A lot of them are focusing on immigration, economics, the tariffs, everything else like that. But how many real politicians are actually focusing on, guys, we have a huge issue with our healthcare system. the main voice you're hearing is RFK Jr. A lot of other people, whether senators or different congressmen, individuals, they're not the ones speaking out. And this is why we need more people to back up RFK and, basically in his legacy. Yeah.
But I also think part of the issue is if you look in America, there's not enough true studies that backs up what we're showing. Like look at you, look at me, look at how we've healed ourselves, and this has been going on since 2018. So I know
the studies are funded, and that's why the pharmaceutical companies actually have most of the control over the studies. And that's why I want to limit the ability for the pharmaceutical companies to take over, because almost like just how we have an agricultural monopoly with, Bill Gates and Vanguard and BlackRock buying out all the farmland and then leasing out to the farmers, which makes it unaffordable for the farmers and they file for bankruptcy. We have the same issue going on with clinical studies, because most of the clinical studies are funded and most by pharmaceutical companies, and they can control basically how the outcomes. They won't focus on the adverse effects. They will focus on, does it treat this to a somewhat extent? Okay, let's just focus on that.
And they're all epidemiology studies. They're not real studies. And that's one of the things I love about Paul is I know he adds a lot of fruit in his diet, but with his animal-based foundation, where he is actually doing research right now, and I believe it's been going on for the last 3 years, hopefully we'll start to get real facts where besides just how we look. Because I think, Christopher, when you get elected to Congress, and hopefully you're there, I've always been someone who's it shouldn't be about a career politician, but if you're somebody reelected over and over again because you're representing for your people, and all of your constituents are only getting unhealthier and fatter, and they're having all these issues with more medication, they look at you and holy shit, Christopher looks exactly the same. In fact, he looks younger, he looks healthy. It gets to a point with my family, even you would sit there and they'd say, what you're doing is ridiculous. And 3 years later, I put on 20 pounds of muscle. I'm the strongest I've ever been. I'm healthier than I was in my early 20s. And now they're I'm ready to ask you some questions because, I could see that there's an absolute positive benefit. And I think that in itself will also be another thing that will help get more people within our elected government to start to be well, maybe there really is something here, because now I'm seeing the legitimate proof in front of my eyes, which is why it's so important to get you into Congress, Christopher. It's beyond important.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people don't realize. I don't know. Some people oh, you look like a 40-year-old attorney. I don't know. I think a lot of Italians, we look like our 40 for the rest of our lives anyways. But yeah, I can tell a lot of my friends and colleagues, especially in the legal industry, most 40-year-olds look like shit. But yeah, I like to try to take thank you, Lise. But anyways, and I try to take care of myself because I was a fitness trainer and competitive bodybuilder and a triathlete before, even during college and law school, mainly law school. Before I became an attorney, my true passion is with the health and fitness industry. And the judge did not like it a few weeks ago when I said I have more respect for the health and fitness industry than attorneys and judges, because I believe most attorneys and judges are going to burn in hell. I'm just trying to get myself less time in purgatory, and that's why I'm coming back to the health industry.
Okay, we got. I want to. How's everybody doing for time? Because I want to respect your guys' time, and I've got
a lot of flexible stuff for another hour, but whatever you got going on.
Awesome.
Every time I always make sure I have extra time because I know these chats go in a phenomenal direction.
I'm getting my pilot license, so I'm doing my flight in an hour. But
not only does he ride bulls, flies planes, does handstand push-ups on basketballs. This guy is
he's the carnivore Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Actually, I do jump out of the planes. That's true. Yeah.
Christopher, I got a couple questions about the deep state and your thoughts on it, and how your thoughts are and how you feel about that. Is there obviously, one, is there a deep state? Two, is it a uniparty? And three, how do you navigate through it?
I believe the blue state. The deep state is the blue state, basically. Yes, I believe it is. It's completely. But I do believe that it's not just all the Democrats that are going to lead into all this corruption. There are some people from my own political party too, and this is who I want to expose. Even if it divides me from the GOP to a good extent, someone needs to expose them and speak the truth. A lot of things should be public record where they're getting their funding, because it's not just from the pharmaceutical companies. Sometimes it's from these big corporations, which kind of lead to making it really unaffordable for a lot of the American citizens. And this is also one response to Michael's comment. If I'm elected in office, I still believe in term limits. I don't believe I should be serving multiple and repetitive terms as a congressman for any district. I believe if I'm not accelerated to a senator at a later time, then my time is, because Byron Donalds made a very good statement about why you believe in term limits. The longer the typical person stays in office, the less they think about the American people, the more they start thinking about themselves and the benefits and their perks that they're getting from sitting in office. And this is why we do believe in term limits. So I don't believe I should be in office, but again, my
Exactly
focus
why you
is the
should
American
be.
people. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the way I look at it is, just like if you look at the NBA, how many LeBron James are there? Like he retires and you're looking for the next one to pop in. Like if there's not somebody ready to take that torch and you're the best person for the job, I think you should be there because you're the best person for the job, not because you want to be there, but because at that point it's your duty to the people that you're representing. And that's another reason why you need to be elected, because you have that mindset where you don't want to be there. And I mean, people, they could say what they say about Trump. He said in the 90s, the only way I will run for president in that interview, I think with Oprah or whoever it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember it was 30 years.
If America is in the worst situation ever to where we're just getting screwed over, I'll have no other choice. And that's why he has been such an incredible guy and why they've been doing everything they can to destroy his reputation and any type of political pull he has, because he is somebody that could actually get the damn job done. And Christopher,
and he's resilient too. I mean, when you saw all those bullshit trials against him, that's what kind of like motivated me. I was like, dude, you know what? If you can just keep moving with a passion, you can do anything you want. The sky's the limits. The reason why I'm here today is because I was basically given a lot of doubts. Not only was I told when I was told I was an accident when I was 8 years old. How do you think that fucking makes you feel as the youngest kid of like 3 kids? Like, oh yeah, we're only planning on having 2 of you. The accident, they made it more disclosed. So this was why I started training harder as a young kid. And then I was told I couldn't be an attorney, and I said, fuck that. And then I was banned from my own family from holiday dinners because I refused to get vaccinated. How do you think that makes you fucking feel? But people's doubts they fuel your motivation, and this is why I feel it's strongest in the carnivore community, because the doctors will tell them you're never to get better. You're a fucking quack if you're eating just meat, or if you're not getting your typical medication on a daily basis. And all of a sudden they get so much better because they get inspired by others to improve their health, but not only the health for themselves, the health of others. And this is why I do believe health coaches cure more people than fucking doctors nowadays.
Oh, yeah. And those are the people that actually reach out to us, that don't just take our content and run with it. And by the way, Christopher, you're not an accident. God doesn't make accidents. So
I had someone make that comment as well, but I appreciate it. This is actually why I'm so close to God now more than ever.
And it's interesting that you spoke about that, because I'm looking at the chats and I'm looking at people who are here. Every single one of them was told something about their health that would never happen. And everyone did. Vita, herpes, doesn't have outbreaks anymore. Dave with his autoimmune, severe issues. Victoria's story. Philip with psoriasis. It's incredible. And, the whole point of these conversations is to expose the possibilities of an ancestral way of eating. And, having you, Christopher, in the position you're in to hopefully make a difference in the place you're at. That's why I believe Selena too. Sorry, I'm trying to mention everybody, but we need to come together to use you as an example in Mark in Ireland, me in Canada. Our systems are completely ridiculous. I mean, I don't know if you've heard of anything up here in Canada, Christopher, but our political, how do you feel about the Canadian political system? I don't know if you've heard of what's going on, but we're ridiculous.
I don't know. Ever since I was told, I knew it was a shit show with Trudeau, and it doesn't look like it made much of a change, but I'm glad you're speaking out on behalf of the community. But I don't, hey, Mark, I got to ask you, what's your thoughts about McGregor being your next president? I don't know. I think he's a little psychotic, but he is a passionate guy, and I'm just hoping his passion's in the right direction. That's the one kind of thing. I think he may speak on behalf of the people. I was going to get your thoughts on that. Hopefully I'm not asking something too political.
No, I completely agree with you. I'm not a big fan of him personally, but I think his message is very important. I think he's speaking for the people because he was brought up that way. He understands the poverty, the poor people, the people that are struggling in this country. He's seeing it all because he's gone through all that. So when I listen to his message, I'm on board. I'm like, okay, this guy definitely knows what he's talking about, and I would like to see him more in government because I firmly believe he would make a difference. I don't think it's about the money. I just think he knows what to do. He knows how to change.
No, he's really connected with the people, and this is what I admire about him. I would just kind of prefer that if he does maybe restrictive drug testing or something like that for like an ongoing period.
I mean, he has his case that I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but he raped a woman over here, and
Yeah.
this is what we don't get. We're all like, everybody's quick to clap their favorite celebrity when
But
you
was
see
it?
something on the TV. But when you hear, but this guy was convicted twice. He went back to court twice, and he was convicted, and he had, so this woman won the case against him twice. So this is what really frustrates me about this guy, is that we've all looked up to him. I used to look up to him. I used to think he was the best thing in Dublin, in Ireland. But now, when he has this case behind him, it's like, well, I don't like you because of this reason. But when it comes to you spreading this message and what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to change, then yes, I do agree. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it. Let's put it that way.
And personally, and I don't want to ever offend anybody, because I don't know the case directly, and I don't know all the situations, what the evidence is. But one of the things that I want to say is, being all men in college, things happen, and sometimes women, when they find out it's not going in a certain way, they come out in a different stand. Again, I don't know his case, but we saw what happened with Trump, and he was accused of rape, and it's to the point now where, like, unless it happens immediately, and I don't know how quickly after the event it was brought up, it's always like you have to cast it with, and I'm not discrediting, putting anything down, but like, is the information that's being spread and the way that things were being put, is it really that way? Or is it that, things didn't go in a certain way and somebody, brought up a different story? Because that's what seems like court's turning into. So I don't want to discredit. I'm not going to put anybody down, because at the end of the day, truth is truth.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be his story against hers. That's what it comes down to.
But
It's like,
also,
okay,
look at who is funding the lawsuit. For you guys know,
Interesting.
I was on LinkedIn for like 14 years, so I'm pretty new to most of the social media, like Instagram and Facebook and X, and my manager made me get all these platforms and made me start a YouTube. I was on LinkedIn since I passed the bar exam in 2011. So 14 years. I got banned because I said men cannot get pregnant. But just so you already see their policies, right? Yeah, exactly. I'm that kind of offensive person. But their founder, Reid Hoffman, was one of the guys, and he's a strong, like, far left, like, Democratic donor and all that. He was basically promoting and funding most of the lawsuits against Trump. So you should also kind of think of who's funding these lawsuits. There's probably an agenda behind it.
I think there's always anytime it's in a public media, whatever, we just got to be very vigilant and use your due diligence in, I don't know, because I don't know anything about that, but I just know that I don't trust a fucking thing I hear in the media.
I question everything now.
And that's,
especially when it comes to mainstream media, it's all full.
And
I
have a deep respect for the women in my life and the women on this planet, and it's never just black or white. I think there's a lot of gray. That's uncomfortable gray. We had a question from Philip.
Actually, I'll go back to it. How can we advocate for a healthy lifestyle and be a voice of MAHA in Nevada and California? So here, I actually so part of the representatives for the my Nevada chapter in the Clark County Republican Party kind of referred me over to a MAHA coalition for Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk was also promoting health. He wasn't just promoting values on based on gender beliefs and everything else like that, or God. It was also for health. So I'm part of that. So I can actually advertise. I'm going to send you some links, by the way, if you want to contact me, Philip. You can contact me anytime, phone or anything. Anybody can reach me. I will send you some links to attend these functions where you can attend these fundraisers to promote these health policies, because a lot of them are for anti-vaccines and promoting real food in our diets, even if it's not. But I'm going to be promoting carnivore, and I'm also in the United States, not just in different parts of Vegas, because I already hosted a big meetup, but I'm going to be hosting meetups throughout the United States. I have my Texas rodeo in 2 weeks. I'm going to be riding the bull, and we're going to be doing a steakhouse before that, and then I'm doing Reno a couple of weeks later. Then I'm hosting one in LA, and then I'm going to be hosting one in Atlanta, Georgia, with Shannon Davis. We kind of organized that. That's going to be in December. And then I'm going to be hosting something in Arizona in January. And then I'm hosting something in February. So if you guys are around the world, the U.S., I know, Lisa, I think you said host something up in the mountains. Yeah, I'd be happy to come up in the mountains. Just get a minimum of 10 to 15 people. That's all it really takes. And we could probably film it and probably have a short discussion on these meetups with steak afterwards. And usually I prefer to have something where it's all you can eat steak, and that's why I like the Brazilian steakhouses too.
Yes.
So if you guys are anywhere in there you go.
South Florida, if you can.
Go to, wherever you're in the United States.
That's it.
Alberta, I don't know. Canada, it's a little far, but we'll see. We could probably.
I would be. Lisa would wring my neck if I didn't mention this. The Alberta Carnivores group on Facebook.
I may have to visit. It's been probably about 10 years since I've been to Canada. So yeah.
Lisa's organizing the first meetup on next weekend. Actually, I'm going to Edmonton. It's a bit of a trek for me, but it's worth it. We're gonna go all meet up and eat steak, and it's gonna be fun. So if you're in BC, Alberta, close, go to the Alberta Carnivore-ish group on Facebook. And check out.
I'll have to book it up, and now I'll get in my pilot license. I'll just fly over there myself.
Right, you got to get in those hours.
Yeah.
But anyways, Christopher, another thing is, if it's possible, and I would definitely put this on my link tree, if you could be able to create a document of different states, of different people running who have this mindset that's living, and it could be updated, whether it's a spreadsheet, whatever.
And that's something I'm actually working on right now, because
Absolutely.
I just did a podcast with Dr. Urban Kiernan. And he is actually kind of linking me with some people from Arizona, some people from Texas, and he does podcasts regularly with different individuals. But yeah, and yes, we are having something in Phoenix, by the way, over there in Victoria. So it's going to be in January. So remember, if wherever you guys are, I have no problem coming out. And yes, I will, Lisa, I'll come to Alberta just for you.
If you ever get a little cold in the winter, come down to Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
Yeah, well, lucky, right? It's happening. It's happening.
And then I'll get in touch with you, Christopher. And then I look forward. I'll be going to Meet Stock, not as a speaker, but I'll be attending. I look forward to.
I'm not going to be a speaker. I'm actually a sponsor, but Scott Everson, he allowed me to speak for a few minutes first, and I'm going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be giving out some goodies to everyone, like giving out like shirts and things to the crowd. But I will be probably one of the first speakers. But I'm not really a speaker. I'm just more of a sponsor. But they like me because I'm speaking on behalf of the health community. So
yeah, wonderful. I look forward to shaking your hand.
Of course. Likewise.
Yeah. Well, boys, I think that might be a good time. I mean, we touched a lot of stuff. I would love to have you back on, Christopher, later on to talk about this stuff as these issues progress, because I think it's only just starting. I mean, all the stuff in the media, all the stuff that the pushback against RFK and the Maha movement, I think it's going to be really important for us to keep talking about it, to keep spreading the awareness. I know, Mark, before we sort of take off, we've been getting a lot of heat, a lot of pushback, strikes, and this was a very important podcast to have, because we were trying to have this podcast for a few weeks, but it seems that this perfect storm of craziness just happened. And for you, Christopher, to make yourself available to come on, man, we're so appreciative. And please share this with the people. We're not crazy. Nobody in this circle, in this chat, in this community is crazy. If not, they are put together and thinkers. Mark, anything to add? I just want to get your take on a few things before we say goodbye.
No, guys, honestly, it's been a pleasure. I as I said at the very, very beginning, I just love having these conversations. If I didn't have these conversations, honestly, I'd go mad. So the more we have these conversations, the better, because this is what's actually going to change the world. I firmly believe that. And I believe that once we get the right people in office, hopefully we can make a massive difference. And we need to start by getting Christopher where he needs to be.
And just before we get Michael and Christopher, just want to mention, Christopher is coming on, I think, Wednesday on the Carnivore community. Is that right, guys? I think.
11 a.m. Pacific time, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you know what, Carnivore community, guys, the TCCW is on YouTube now. So if you're listening on Instagram, if you're following them, make sure you go to YouTube. How important is that? Because YouTube, the odds, the algorithms are stacked against us. It is not friendly. We need everybody's support. So go there. Christopher will be there on Wednesday. Always Michael and Mark, definitely a very big part of that. I love them.
Big part of it.
One quick comment to add on to it. Right after our live chat on Wednesday at 11 a.m. at 12 p.m., right after that, I'm giving a 2 to 3 hour free seminar for health coaches on medical disclaimers and how you can use them properly without getting any kind of restrictions from the medical board. It may come in a lot. And also for a lot of you who want to start up corporations or limited liability companies, I'm going to give you free information on how to set it up where you could actually do it legally, properly, and make sure that you could actually save the best on taxes doing it too. Because when people create the wrong entity, they pay more taxes.
Oh,
Is that on YouTube or Instagram? Where's that going to be?
Dr. Kiltz is actually hosting it. Dr. Nelson, Dr. Kiltz are hosting it. They asked me, and I told them that whenever they need anything, just let me know. So right after that, I'm going to be giving the free legal seminar to everybody else too.
That's excellent. So we'll make sure you follow the links. So, and Michael, where can people find you?
Right now, I'm mainly on Instagram, Ancestrally Healed. As you see it in my title, I just don't. I'm so involved with my family and my work. I just don't have enough time to be anywhere else. And Christopher, I'll probably link up with you after that chat with Kiltz, just because with Florida and there are different states where they have different legalities. So I just want to make sure.
And I'm getting multiple licenses at the same time too. So I'm
amazing.
actually getting licensed in other states. But one thing that, first of all, certain states actually share a lot of reciprocity with other states too, and there is usually kind of a common or base law or federal law that's shared with all states too, just like if you're doing trademark, copyright infringement, everything else like that. But most of the states, they have a very similar pattern or procedural process, and I actually have colleagues. And I can get a limited admission in any state on a limited basis for representing special individuals or corporations or doing what's called pro hoc vice to be assisted as an associate counsel. And this is actually what I've been doing with Dr. Shafee for the past couple of years too.
Okay, so I definitely am looking forward to potentially working with you a little bit more on that. And the one thing I want to say, touch on what you said, Tony, about being crazy. Every single person that's made a positive change in this world, starting with Galileo, I mean, look at every name. They were always deemed crazy, but the reality is they were speaking the reality, the truth, and something that people didn't want to be aware of. So the fact that people are calling us crazy means that we are making the right ripples in this world to make positive change.
Well said.
Well said.
And Christopher, Vita's asking if she's working, can she watch that seminar? Is it going to be recorded or is it just going to be a live stream?
I think it's going to be recorded as well. I actually asked Dr. Kiltz and Dr. Nelson I want to make sure that they're going to have it available on YouTube too for subsequent recording soon. I'm going to make sure it's recorded so I can actually distribute it to everybody afterwards too. So you can always reach out to me and I'll share it with everybody.
Awesome. And Christopher, where can people find you, get a hold of you? Obviously, we appreciate you being here and being exposed to it doesn't happen very often when
Gerard, I'm gonna get bashed by the left, but I can give two shits. So anyways, I'm mainly on, since getting banned from LinkedIn for saying men cannot get pregnant. It's such bullshit. But anyways, I'm mainly on, Facebook, Instagram, X, and I think I just set up like a TikTok. There's a lot of crazy liberals on TikTok. Sends me so many. And actually, even right before Charlie got shot, someone says someone needs to take this guy out when I was talking about against vaccines. So I make it. But yes, you can find me. And unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, I say fortunately for you, unfortunately for me, since I've decided to hold off on getting a wife and kids because I've been in a mission and I've refused to kind of date during my campaign. So I'm actually making myself available to the American public. I don't have a wife and kids to come home to. I'd rather just work and just be with the people 24/7. And the carnivore community is a community that saved me in 2018. That is my passion. They're my priority.
Yeah. Well said. Mark, where can people find you?
You can find me on social media as well, Fitness Beyond Time 01, or you can contact me at nsmark93@gmail.com.
Awesome, man. And we will have a Peter soon. He was unable to join, but I had a great time, guys. I really do appreciate all you guys. I love you all. Michael, we've gotten to know each other a little bit. It's kind of nice having a kindred spirit. Mark, my brother, and Christopher, you being guys, follow at Instagram. If you have a question for Christopher, man, you've been so great. And everybody that I've talked to that knows you says how much you're engaged with the people that are asking questions, which is great because it's nice to have somebody real in a position that's going to make a change. I feel it. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for the questions, the comments, supporting us. Please support the carnivore community on Instagram. They are now live on YouTube. They're making the difference. The conversations on there with a bunch of carnivores talking meat. It's amazing. It's been a pleasure to be part of a few of them. I want to say a special shout out to Victoria. Thank you. And it's Mark's other podcast, the Carnivore Evolution podcast, where they get real stories, real people. And Christopher, thank you. Michael, thank you. Please, guys, we are live every Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. in the UK and Ireland, and 7 p.m. in the Netherlands and continental Europe. We need to unite. We need a voice, and this is a little piece of it. And we really appreciate you all. Thanks again to Byron. Make sure you subscribe to Carnivore Beats. The music is meat-fueled, and it's real. It's beautiful. Thank you all for being here, and we'll do it again. We'd love to have you both back on. And
certainly, anytime, man.
Thanks, guys.
God bless.
Bye-bye.